Next gift is from Maya Bennett. The MC's voice carried across the decorated ballroom, and my mother's smile froze. My twin sister, Chloe, sat beneath a glittering asterisk congratulations, Dr. BENNETT sign while relatives crowded around tables covered in flowers, catered food, and champagne. We had graduated medical school on the exact same day. Only Chloe had a party. Hours earlier, when I asked Mom why nobody had even mentioned celebrating me, she texted back, "This was her night, not yours. Don't make everything about yourself." So I didn't argue. I sent Chloe a gift instead. A box containing something I knew she'd love. A sealed card and one photograph my mother never expected anyone to see. "Read the card," Chloe called toward the MC. Mom was still smiling then, until Chloe lifted the photograph from underneath the tissue paper. Mom's face drained. She stood so quickly her chair scraped across the floor. Because that photograph was connected to $37,000 she had taken from me by telling me my father had cancer. And she knew exactly what was about to happen if the MC kept reading. Months earlier, I had been finishing my final clinical rotations when Mom called me crying. "Maya, they found cancer." I stopped walking in the hospital corridor. "What?" "It's your dad." My hand tightened around my phone. Mom told me his doctors were worried. Treatment would be expensive, and insurance wasn't covering everything. Then she added something strange. "Don't question him about it. He doesn't want you distracted before graduation." I believed her. Dad had always hidden stress from us. So when Mom asked for money, I sent it. First a few thousand. Then more. Every new request came with another emergency: specialists, deductibles, treatment costs. By graduation, I had transferred *37,000*, including money meant for my relocation, licensing expenses, and the start of residency. Whenever I mentioned celebrating graduating with Chloe, Mom gave me the same answer. "Your father's health comes first." I accepted that. Then photographs of Chloe's party started appearing. A private venue. Catering. Decorations. A photographer. An MC. Apparently, there was money for all of that. Just not for me. Back inside the ballroom, the MC unfolded my card. Mom began pushing through the guests toward the stage. "Wait," she said sharply. "Don't read that." Chloe stared at her. The MC hesitated. And I wasn't even in the room when everyone began wondering the same thing. Why was my mother suddenly terrified of one photograph? A few weeks before graduation, Mom sent me another photo of Dad. He was sitting in a hospital waiting room wearing a blue disposable wristband, staring down at his phone. Her message came immediately after. "He's getting worse. I don't know how much longer we can keep pretending everything is normal." I stared at the picture between patients. Something about it bothered me. Not Dad himself. The lack of details. So I called Mom. "What kind of cancer did they diagnose?" Silence. Then, "Maya, why does that matter right now?" "Because you keep saying treatment is starting. What stage is it?" Her voice hardened. "Stop treating your father like one of your case studies." "I'm not. I'm asking because I'm scared." "Well, imagine how he feels." I lowered my voice. "Who's his oncologist?" Another pause. "Your father doesn't want everyone discussing his private medical information." "Mom, I'm his daughter." "And he's ashamed. Respect that." That stopped me. Dad had always hated appearing vulnerable. If he truly wanted privacy, pushing him could make things worse. So I backed down. The next morning, Mom sent another message. Insurance deductible plus the specialist consult is almost $8,000. I hate asking, but I don't know who else can help. I didn't have $8,000 sitting around. Most of what I had left was supposed to cover my move for residency. I took out a personal loan anyway. When I told Mom the money had transferred, her reply was immediate. "Thank God for you." 2 days later, she posted a family photo online praising Chloe. She's been Dad's sunshine through all of this, always keeping his spirits up. I looked at the post for a long time. Chloe was being praised publicly. I was paying privately. Still, I said nothing. Then Dad called me one Sunday afternoon. He sounded cheerful. "I'm thinking about going fishing next weekend." I frowned. "Fishing?" "Yeah, your uncle found a new spot." I hesitated. "Are your doctors okay with that?" Dad went quiet. "My doctors?" "The oncology team." "What oncology team?" My stomach tightened. Then he laughed awkwardly. "You mean after that polyp thing?" Before I could respond, I heard Mom in the background. "Robert, give me the phone." "Mom, wait." The line went dead. I sat frozen with my phone in my hand. Polyp. Not cancer. Not treatment. Not an oncologist. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I opened my laptop, pulled up every bank transfer, every message, every date, and every medical claim Mom had ever sent me. Then I started building a timeline. Graduation week arrived before I could make the timeline make sense. Chloe and I stood in the same auditorium, wearing the same graduation robes, hearing our names called only minutes apart. Afterward, she hugged me so hard my cap nearly fell off. We actually did it. We did. Then Chloe grinned. "So, what do you think Mom and Dad are planning this weekend?" I stared at her. "Planning?" "For us, Mom's been acting mysterious." That was when I realized Chloe thought there was going to be one celebration. For both of us. Hours later, photos started appearing in the family group chat. A decorated venue. Catered tables. A photographer. A huge sign congratulating Dr. Chloe Bennett, ***. There was no mention of me. I texted Mom privately. "Did you organize a graduation party for Chloe?" Her answer came minutes later. "This was her night, not yours. Don't make everything about yourself." Then another message appeared. "After everything we've spent dealing with your father's health, you should understand we couldn't do 2 parties." I almost laughed. Then I noticed something in one of the venue photographs. The floral deposit had been made around the same time Mom had asked me for money for Dad's specialist. The catering arrangements lined up with another supposed medical emergency. I pulled up my bank records. The dates were too close to ignore. I still couldn't prove my money had paid for Chloe's party. But I could finally prove whether Dad had cancer. So I drove straight to my parents' house. Dad opened the door. "Maya, everything okay?" "I need you to show me the records from your procedure." His eyebrows lifted. "What records?" "The pathology report." He stared at me, then disappeared into his office. When he returned, he handed me a folder. They removed a polyp. We were worried while we waited for the results, but it was benign. I looked at the date. Months earlier. Before several of Mom's requests for cancer treatment money. "You knew it was benign then?" "Of course." Dad frowned. "I thought you knew." My hands went cold. "Hold this." "What?" "The pathology report, please." He held it against his chest while I took a photograph clear enough to show his face, the document, and the date. "Maya, why are you photographing me?" "I'll explain." That evening, Chloe texted. "I know you're upset, but I really wanted you there. At least send me something for the MC to read." I looked at Dad's photograph. Then I picked up a pen. I wrote Chloe a card, placed the photograph beneath it, added her graduation gift, and sealed the box. Dad watched from across the table. His eyes settled on the envelope. then on me. Maya. His voice dropped. What exactly did your mother tell you? I didn't answer Dad with words. I opened my laptop and turned it toward him. Look. The first transfer was on the screen. Then the second. The third. I scrolled until the total at the bottom was visible. Asterisk 30, $7,000. Dad leaned closer. What is this? Money Mom told me was for your cancer. His face went still. My what? I opened her messages. The specialist needs payment before treatment. Another. Insurance isn't covering everything. Then the one that made Dad grip the edge of the table. They're discussing chemotherapy. Please don't tell your father I told you. Dad looked at the date. That was months after my pathology came back benign. I know. I never had chemotherapy consultations. I know that now. He pushed his chair back. I'm calling your mother. No. He stared at me. Maya, she took $37,000 from you using my name. And if you call her now, she gets time to rewrite everything before Chloe hears the truth. That stopped him. I closed the laptop. Chloe deserves to know what her party may have been built on. Dad sat back down. For the first time, every strange detail fit. Mom refusing to name an oncologist. The hospital photographs from Dad's real polyp procedure. Her insistence that I never question him. The requests that continued after the benign pathology report. And those expensive party deposits appearing alongside my transfers. I sent Chloe's gift box as promised. Dad refused to attend the party until he understood exactly what Mom had done with my money. Hours later, Chloe opened my package in front of everyone. The MC unfolded my card. Dear Chloe, congratulations. Becoming doctors together is something I'll always be proud of. Mom visibly relaxed. Then the MC continued. There's one more gift in the box. It's a photograph Dad helped me take yesterday. Chloe lifted it. Dad was holding his pathology report. The date was clearly visible. Mom recognized it immediately. She shot out of her chair. Stop. The MC looked up. Mom pushed through the guests. Give me that microphone. Chloe stepped backward, clutching the photograph. Mom, what is this? Chloe, not here. But the MC had already reached the next sentence. Mom lunged toward the stage. Too late. Mom told me Dad had cancer. The room went completely silent. Mom stopped a few feet from the stage. Give me the card. Chloe pulled it closer to her chest. No. Chloe, this is a family matter. So is Dad having cancer. The MC lowered the microphone. I can stop. Chloe looked at Mom, then at the photograph of Dad holding his pathology report. Keep reading. Mom's face changed. The MC continued. Mom told me Dad had cancer. She told me treatment and specialist costs were overwhelming. She told me not to ask Dad questions because he didn't want us discussing his illness. People began turning toward Mom. The MC read the next line. Over several months, I sent Mom $37,000. Someone near the front whispered, 37,000. Chloe stared at Mom. The card continued. Yesterday, Dad showed me his actual pathology report. The polyp removed during his procedure was benign. Chloe looked down at the photograph again. The date was right there. But the most important part came next. Several times, Mom asked me for cancer treatment money after this report had already confirmed Dad did not have cancer. That destroyed the only innocent explanation Mom could have offered. She couldn't claim she had panicked while waiting for results. The dates proved otherwise. Chloe lowered the photograph. You told Maya Dad was dying. I never said dying. Mom reached for the card. Chloe pulled it away. You told her he had cancer. She misunderstood what I meant. I had anticipated that. Inside the box were printed screenshots. Chloe picked up the first one and read it. "They're discussing chemotherapy. Please don't tell your father I told you." She looked directly at Mom. "How do you misunderstand that?" Mom's mouth tightened. "I was trying to keep this family together. With Maya's money. Maya was going to be a doctor. She could afford to help." Chloe stared at her. Mom gestured around the room. "And the money stayed in the family. Look at everything we've done for you. You worked hard. You deserved a proper celebration." That was the moment Chloe understood. Her eyes moved slowly around the venue. The flowers. The catering. The photographer. The decorations. Then back to the screenshots in her hands. "You used money Maya gave you because she thought Dad had cancer. For this." Mom didn't answer. Chloe pulled out her phone. She called Dad. "Can you come here?" 20 minutes later, he walked into the venue. Mom rushed toward him. "Robert, please, I can explain." Dad walked past her. He stopped beside Chloe and took the microphone. "I want everyone to hear this once, so there's no confusion." Mom whispered, "Robert." He looked at her. "I never had cancer." Nobody moved. "I had a colon polyp removed. We waited for pathology. It was benign. I never had chemotherapy consultations, and I never authorized Diane to collect money from Maya for cancer treatment." Mom's control over the room disappeared in seconds. Chloe turned to the venue coordinator. "Please cancel anything tonight that hasn't already been charged. No more speeches, no extras." Then she looked at Mom. "This party is over." In the days afterward, Chloe returned the expensive graduation gift Mom had bought her so the refund could go toward paying me back. Dad separated the household finances. Mom had controlled and gathered copies of every transfer and message. Then he put a written repayment agreement in front of her. The amount at the top was exact. *30, $7,000. I kept copies of everything. "If the repayments stop," I told Mom, "I'll pursue my formal legal options. I'm not arguing about this anymore." For years, Mom had been able to decide which daughter was grateful and which was selfish. That ended with the photograph. Chloe called me afterward. "I didn't know Maya." "I know. I thought the party was for both of us until graduation week." "I know that too." She went quiet. Then she said, "I'm not letting her make us enemies over this." Neither was I. The repayments began. Dad stopped allowing Mom to act as the messenger between us. If something involved him, he called me himself. I started residency without the savings I should have had, but there were no more guilt-driven transfers and no more family emergencies I wasn't allowed to verify. A few weeks later, Chloe organized another graduation celebration. Just the two of us, and Dad at a small restaurant. No stay. No MC. No competition. Chloe raised her glass. "To both Dr. Bennett's." I smiled and tapped mine against hers. I still keep that photograph of Dad holding his benign pathology report with the transfer records. Not because I enjoy remembering what Mom did. Because it reminds me what changed afterward. I stopped confusing trust with obedience. I stopped believing that loving someone meant surrendering my right to ask questions. I had spent months believing $37,000 might save my father's life. But in the end, one photograph saved me from ever believing my mother blindly again.